Hello, hello, and good morning or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you are in right now. Coach Kevin here, and let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now, and we'll jump right in. Okay, now for those of you, this might be your very first time. Definitely pay attention right now. There's some resources we're going to share with you that will be very helpful, that the rest of the group already knows about, but you don't. First thing I want to share with you is we have a Facebook group that coincides with our meetup group, and it has the same name. I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. So I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. And if you go into your own Facebook account and go into search Facebook, wherever that is on yours, you could start typing that in and find us and come ask to join us, and we'd be glad to have you. The other way to find us is facebook.com/groups/I want to be really rich. So that's how you can find us on Facebook. And why would you want to join the group? Reason number one, it gives you another place to interact with us outside of the 45 minutes or so we have each day, Monday through Friday. The other reason to do that, if we have any special announcements, that's where they will be posted. Usually I'll have it pinned to the top. And then right underneath, as you can see, this was yesterday. As long as I remember, which I typically do, to record the meetings that we're having, this is where you'll find them posted. So if you attend a meeting and you really like it and you want to review it, this is where you can go back and review it. Or if you miss something, let's say that we've been in particular piece of material that we've been working on together, studying, taking apart, learning from, and let's say that it goes on for 4 or 5 days, that particular topic or that particular material. Well, if you end up missing a day and you want to get caught up, this is a way that you can go ahead and get caught up. All right. Now that I've shared that with you, I want to share with you what it is that we're currently studying. So we are currently in the middle of going through a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Okay, it's written by Joseph Murphy. So The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, written by Joseph Murphy. I have a Kindle copy myself and probably a paperback lying around somewhere. I've read this book probably 3 or 4 times over my lifetime, but it's been several years since I've read this book. But I decided to bring it back out because we've been working together now since November 5th, as far as when we started the meetup group, and it keeps growing. And as we've been working together, we've been going through different material. The previous thing that we studied was a book called Hidden Treasures, Heaven's Astonishing Help with Your Money Matters. And that went over the laws that govern the universe, and in specifically how those laws relate to earning more money and acquiring more wealth in your life. So a lot of people think in terms of law of attraction, which is terrific, but law of attraction isn't the only law that governs us receiving what we want, particularly when it comes to money and wealth. And the law of attraction is actually a secondary law to the law of vibration. So there are multiple laws that work in conjunction with each other. And the reason that people sometimes fail to manifest what it is they really want in their life and to get the results that they want is they're unaware of what these laws are and how they interact with each other. For instance, law of gravity, right, makes things stay grounded or makes things that are up come down. However, the law of gravity was overcome in the flying of an airplane because of the law of aerodynamics and thrust and whatever else makes that plane, that hunk of metal fly through the air, right? Thousands and thousands of pounds flying through the air, and yet the law of gravity is still in effect. Why is that the case? Why doesn't it just fall down? Well, because there are multiple laws being used with each other to actually accomplish the goal, which is flying, okay? But if they were disobeying any of the laws that relate to how an airplane flies in the air, then that airplane either wouldn't get off the ground or it would immediately come crashing down. Well, that's what happens a lot of times when people set goals to achieve or receive things in their lives and they don't happen. They crash and burn. So we need to know the laws. The other thing we need to understand how our mind works, our conscious and our subconscious mind, but especially our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind can be our greatest friend or our biggest enemy when it comes to receiving what we want in our life. It is something that can help us go on autopilot and live more joyfully, peacefully, and abundantly. And it's something that can go on autopilot and actually sabotage everything it is that we want. So if we don't understand how it functions and how to program it the way we want it programmed, then we may understand the laws that govern receiving more money and wealth in our life, but our subconscious mind is going to battle against us actually functioning in such a way that we're able to apply those laws correctly and receive what we want. So we have to understand how the universe operates in relationship to receiving the things we want. And we have to understand how our mind operates in helping us receive what it is that we want. And then we need to take the knowledge of those two things and apply it correctly. And when we do, interestingly enough, receiving what we want actually turns out to be pretty easy. It really doesn't become difficult any longer. Now, you may have been struggling for a long time and feel like, really, could it even ever possibly be easy? And the truth of the matter is, yes, it can. Every one of us has seen people around us that things seem to come easy for them. Well, it's because they either have learned this or they grew up in an environment that this is how they grew up with their thinking. And because they grew up with people around them that already understood this, they picked it up, funny enough, interesting, on a subconscious level. So they apply the laws and they get the results, and it just seems easy for them. And they can't really explain to you how they do it. They just say, oh, I work hard, or, I got lucky, or whatever it was. But that's not the truth. The truth is they're obeying laws. Now, just like gravity, you don't have to understand that you're obeying the law or how it works. It just works. Well, if these people are obeying the laws related to receiving more money and wealth in their life, then their subconscious mind doesn't have any programming in opposition to their goals and dreams and what they're trying to manifest. Then it happens, and it happens pretty easily. Okay. So we're in the Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I wanted to find a place where we could get a free copy. That way I could point you in that direction and everybody can go get one if you want to. So I typed in the Power of Your Subconscious Mind PDF just into Google. And one of the first searches that came up is this one. I know it looks different because it says logoscenter.org, but Power of Your Subconscious Mind. What'll happen when you click on that is this will come up, okay? Which is the PDF file that you want, which will give you a free copy of the book. Now, here's one of the cool things about it. It didn't even ask for my name or email. I just clicked that link in Google that I showed you, and this is what popped up. And then if you like, you can come over here to download it and download it onto your computer, your phone, or whatever it is that you're using to follow along or read. So that's exactly what I did. Now, we've been doing this for a few days in this particular work, and we are on page 80 of 193. What I'm going to do, and just so you know, somebody or multiple somebodies are chatting along, and that's fine. I'm paying zero attention to chat right now, okay? Matter of fact, I'm going to pay zero attention to chat throughout the time we have together today, because what I'm going to do is when we have about 10, 15 minutes left to go, we're going to switch over from the studying and going through the material to giving you the opportunity to ask questions and share commentary, share your experiences, share how the law of attraction, how you've been able to utilize it to manifest things in your life, or whatever it is that you've been dealing with, trying to use the law of attraction to manifest things in your life. And also to, again, go ahead and ask questions and get clarification around maybe what it is that we're studying right now, or anything related to attracting more money and wealth into your life. So I'm going to start off reading here, and I'll add commentary when I feel it's appropriate and might be helpful for you. And you guys can follow along. You can go download it. I just showed you where to go get it. Or you could just, I'll leave it on screen share like I have it right now, so you could follow along this way and maybe go download it later. But I think you're going to find as we go through this today, If you're brand new, you're probably going to want to go back and well, you definitely want to join the Facebook group anyway, but you might want to go back and go through some of the things we've done the last few days, or at the very least, go ahead and download the book and get yourself caught up to where we're at. I think you'll find that very valuable to you. So I'm going to take a sip of water here, and then we're going to jump right in. All right. All right. Use imagination, not willpower. Enlisting the powers of your subconscious mind is not like pushing against an obstacle. Working harder does not lead to better results. Interesting way to start out this morning, right? I'm going to repeat that. Enlisting the powers of your subconscious mind is not like pushing against an obstacle. We're not trying to roll a stone up the hill, okay? A big boulder. Working harder does not lead to better results. Use no willpower when we're talking about for this particular thing. Instead, visualize the end and the state of freedom it produces. You will find your intellect trying to get in the way, trying to find ways to solve the problem and impose those ways on your subconscious. Resist this. Put away your intellectual problem-solving skills. Persist in maintaining a simple, childlike, miracle-making faith. Picture yourself without the ailment or problem. Imagine the emotional gratification of the freedom state you seek. Cut out all the red tape from the process. The simple way is the best. Man, just this little piece that we read, if you understood this and applied this, that would make things so much easier. Absolutely. I know it has for me. And this is a good reminder for me too, because every once in a while, my subconscious mind wants to put up a fuss, okay? But this is how you make things work, and this is how things come so much more easily, joyfully, and it's just nearly effortless. It's being in the flow. When you think about a professional athlete, or let's say an Olympian, you can tell when they're in the flow. Yes, they are doing their sport. They are, performing at a high level, but you can see the look on their face. It's almost like they're in this state of bliss, and it's just happening for them. And the very best comes out. And when all is said and done, they're not worn out. They're not tired out. They're not, they actually are in awe of what they accomplished because they're in the flow. All right. That's how it can become for us too, with what it is that we want in our lives and manifesting those things. How disciplined imagination works wonders. Okay. A wonderful way to get a response from your subconscious mind is through disciplined or scientific imagination. As we have seen, the subconscious is to presuppose that there is opposition, but the act of imagining opposition creates opposition. If your attention is focused on the obstacles to obtaining what you desire, it is no longer concentrating on the means to obtain your desire. In the Bible, it is said, "If two of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven." Who are these two who are spoken of? They stand for the harmonious union or agreement between your conscious and subconscious on any idea, desire, or mental image. When there's no longer any quarrel between the different parts of your mind, your prayer will be answered. The two agreeing may also be represented as you and your desire, your thought and feeling, your idea and emotion, your desire and imagination. You avoid all conflict between your desires and imagination by entering into a drowsy, sleepy state that brings all effort to a minimum. The conscious mind is submerged to impregnate your subconscious, is just prior to sleep. The reason for this is that the highest degree of outcropping of the subconscious occurs just before going to sleep and just after we awaken. In this state, the negative thoughts and imagery that tend to neutralize your desire and so prevent acceptance by your subconscious mind no longer present themselves. When you imagine the reality of the fulfilled desire and feel the thrill of accomplishment, your subconscious brings about the realization of your desire. A great many people solve all their dilemmas and problems by the play of their controlled, directed, and disciplined imagination. They know that whatever they imagine and feel as true will and must come to pass. A young woman named Shara G came to me close to despair. Actually, I'm going to reread the previous sentence. I just feel like I should. They know that whatever they imagine and feel as true will and must come to pass. Okay. Important stuff. A young woman named Shara G came to me close to despair. She was involved in a lengthy, complicated lawsuit that had been through one postponement after another, with no end in sight. Her deepest desire was for a harmonious solution to the suit. Her mental imagery, however, was full of failure, loss, bankruptcy, and poverty. The result was just as Kue would have predicted. Her imagination prevailed over her desire, and the suit dragged on and on. At my suggestion, Shara put herself into a sleepy, drowsy state each night at bedtime, then began to imagine the best possible ending to her problem. She put herself into a state of feeling it to the best of her ability. She knew that the image in her mind had to agree with her heart's desire. As she became drowsy, she began to imagine, as vividly as possible, a meeting with her lawyer after the lawsuit was settled. She heard herself asking him questions about the outcome and listening to his explanations. She heard him telling her over and over again, the case has been settled out of court. This is a perfectly harmonious solution. Let me repeat this process. This is how she did it. As she became drowsy, she began to imagine as vividly as possible a meeting with her lawyer. So this is what's going on in her mind. Meeting with her lawyer after the lawsuit was settled. She heard herself asking him questions about the outcome and listening to his explanations. She heard him telling her over and over again, the case has been settled out of court. This is a perfectly harmonious solution. During the day, because this is what's going to happen sometimes, when fear thoughts came into her mind, Shara would run her mental videotape of the meeting with her lawyer, complete with words and gestures. She imagined his smile, his mannerisms, the sound of his voice, the specific words he used. She did this so often, so faithfully, that her fears were counteracted before she even knew they had tried to come into her mind. So bam, something's trying to take her out of it. And what did she do? She neutralized that and went back to the positive thoughts. At the end of a few weeks, her attorney called her. He confirmed what she had been imagining and feeling is true. The lawsuit was settled, and she knew that the settlement was one she could accept as harmonious. This is really what the psalmist meant when he wrote, "Let the words of my mouth, your thoughts and mental images, and the meditations of my heart, your feeling, nature, emotion, be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, the law of your subconscious mind. My strength and my redeemer, the power and wisdom of your subconscious mind that can redeem you from sickness, bondage, and misery." Ideas worth recalling. Mental coercion or too much effort shows anxiety and fear that block your answer. Easy does it. When your mind is relaxed and you accept an idea, your subconscious goes to work to execute the idea. Think and plan independently of traditional methods. Man. Let me repeat that. Think and plan independently of traditional methods. One more time. Think and plan independently of traditional methods. Know that there is always a solution to every problem. Do not be overly concerned with the beating of your heart, with the breathing of your lungs, or the function of any organ of your body. Lean heavily upon your subconscious and proclaim frequently that divine right action is taking place. The feeling of health produces health. The feeling of wealth produces wealth. How do you feel? Imagination is your most powerful faculty. Imagine what is lovely and of good report. You are what you imagine yourself to be. You avoid conflict between your conscious and subconscious in the sleepy state. Imagine the fulfillment of your desire over and over again prior to sleep. Sleep in peace and wake in joy. How to use the power of your subconscious for wealth. If you're having financial difficulties, if you're trying to make ends meet, it means you have not convinced your subconscious mind that you always have plenty and some to spare. You know men and women who work a few hours a week and make fabulous sums of money. They do not strive or slave hard. Do not believe the story that the only way you can become wealthy is by the sweat of your brow and hard labor. It is not so. The effortless way of life is the best. Do the thing you love to do and do it for the joy and thrill of it. Let me repeat that. The effortless way of life is the best. Do the thing you love to do and do it for the joy and thrill of it. I know an executive in Los Angeles, and by the way, this book was written quite a while ago, who receives a 6-figure salary. Last year, he went on a 9-month cruise seeing the world and its beauty spots. He said to me that he had succeeded in convincing his subconscious mind that he is worth that much money. He told me that there are people in his organization earning about 1/10 as much as he does, who know more about the business than he does and could probably manage it better. However, they have no ambition and no creative ideas. They're not interested in the wonders of their subconscious mind. Wealth is of the mind. Wealth is ultimately nothing more than a subconscious conviction on the part of an individual. Listen to this one, everybody. You will not become a millionaire by saying, I am a millionaire. I am a millionaire. That might have just blown some of you guys' minds because you've probably been doing that. You will grow into wealth consciousness by building into your mentality the idea of wealth and abundance. Your invisible means of support. The trouble with most people is that they have no invisible means of support. When business falls away, the stock market drops, or they take a loss on their investments, they seem helpless. The reason for such insecurity is that they do not know how to tap the subconscious mind. They are unacquainted with the inexhaustible storehouse within. Someone with a poverty-type mind finds himself poverty-stricken conditions. Someone else with a mind filled with ideas of wealth is surrounded by everything he needs. It was never intended that he should lead a life of indigence. You can have wealth, everything you need, and plenty to spare. Your words have power to cleanse your mind of wrong ideas and to instill right ideas in their place. The ideal method for building a wealth consciousness. Perhaps you're saying as you read this chapter, I need wealth and success. This is what you do. Repeat for 5 minutes to yourself 3 or 4 times a day. Wealth, success. These words have tremendous power. They represent the inner power of the subconscious mind. Anchor your mind on the substantial power within you. Then conditions and circumstances corresponding to their nature and quality will be manifested in your life. You're not saying, I am wealthy. You are dwelling on the real powers within you. There is no conflict in the mind when you say wealth. Furthermore, the feeling of wealth will well up within you as you dwell on the idea of wealth. Let me repeat that. There is no conflict in the mind when you say wealth. Furthermore, the feeling of wealth will well up within you as you dwell on the idea of wealth. The feeling of wealth produces wealth. Keep this in mind at all times. Your subconscious mind is like a bank, a sort of universal financial institution. It magnifies whatever you deposit or impress upon it, whether it is the idea of wealth or poverty. Choose wealth. Why your affirmations for wealth fail. I have talked to many people over the years whose usual complaint is, I have said for weeks and months, I am wealthy, I am prosperous, and nothing has happened. I discovered that when they said, I am prosperous, I am wealthy, they felt within that they were lying to themselves. One man told me, I've affirmed that I am prosperous till I am tired. Things are now worse. I knew when I made the statement that it was obviously not true. His statements were rejected by the conscious mind, and the opposite of what he outwardly affirmed and claimed was made manifest. Your affirmation succeeds best when it is specific and when it does not produce a mental conflict or argument. The statements made by this man made matters worse because they suggested his lack. Your subconscious accepts what you really feel to be true, not just idle words or statements. The dominant idea or belief is always accepted by the subconscious mind. So how to avoid mental conflict? The following is the ideal way to overcome this conflict for those who have this difficulty. Make this practical statement frequently, particularly prior to sleep. By day and by night, I'm being prospered in all of my interests. This affirmation will not arouse any argument because it does not contradict your subconscious mind's impression of financial lack. I suggested to one businessman whose sales and finances were extremely low and who was greatly worried that he sit down in my office, become quiet, and repeat this statement over and over. My sales are improving every day. This statement engaged the cooperation of the conscious and subconscious mind, and results followed. Don't sign blank checks. You sign blank checks when you make such statements as, there's not enough to go around. Because the check that you're saying it's blank, there's nothing there. There's a shortage. I will lose the house because I can't meet the mortgage, and so forth. If you're full of fear about the future, you're also writing a blank check and attracting negative conditions to you. Your subconscious mind accepts your fear and negative statement as your request and proceeds in its own way to bring obstacles, delays, lack, and limitation to your life. Okay. We're going to pick up there tomorrow. So let's go into our sharing time together here. All right, a few more of you joined us since we got started. Thanks for coming on board with us today. So here's how this is going to work. We now have time to, to share whatever it is that we like, as long as it's related to what we're talking about. So if you have any thing related to the law of attraction and any successes in manifesting anything that you really want, particularly in relationship to receiving more money and wealth in your life, feel free to share those. If you have any questions around how to receive more money and wealth into your life, feel free to ask those. If you've learned something as a result of what we're studying, or if you have questions around the topic of what we're studying, feel free to share those. And any other thing that comes to you, as long as it's of a positive nature, feel free to share it. So what you'll do is you'll just come off of mute and start talking, and you in the order that you choose to do that. So feel free to share your comments or ask your questions. And please don't be shy. I know that you guys don't have everything that you want in life, but you have an opportunity to at least maybe ask some questions and get an answer to.
I'll throw it out there, Kevin. So One of the things that took me back was the one that says, constantly. I use the mantras all the time. I'm a scratch player. I'm, I own multiple properties, I'm a multimillionaire. And it said just repeating those mantras, and I may be paraphrasing what you said when you were doing the reading, is not the solution. And it kind of threw me, because I'm sure many of us that are on this call, that's what we were either trained or thought to believe, that you get up in the morning and, say your mantras, and at night say the mantras, and that's a key.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a visualization of what that's like doing. Okay. Picture, this is the picture that just came to my mind to share with you guys. Hopefully you've all seen the old cartoon version of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Okay, here was the picture of what came to me. You are out there, you're walking into a mine with a pick. And you're hitting a wall made out of granite that has not been broken through or anything. And what you're doing is by saying that, you're taking that pick and you're banging it up against that wall. And you're doing it over and over and over and over and over again, trying to use that mantra to bring down the wall. The wall is your subconscious, which is fighting back at you, and your conscious mind is going, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. And you're trying to force it to give up. Almost everything that we just read today was talking about the opposite of force. See, the way to get our mind and our subconscious mind to accept things is through our imagination and our visualization and our feelings. So instead of just repeating it over and over and over and over, if it's not actually bringing up for you this very positive feeling of it's your reality right now, you're just repeating words. But if you start at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, and multiple times throughout the day as you can find them, which would be great, but at least the beginning and the end, like it was talking about, and like I keep saying over and over, take that 5 to 15 minutes when you start your morning or end your night to go live vividly as if you are an actor, but don't think of yourself as an actor, think of it as real. But the reason I'm sharing that is we've all watched movies. You are the actor, you are the main character, you are the participant in your own movie. And if you are actually participating in the movie, you don't actually see yourself in the movie, you are in the movie. In other words, unless you walk by a mirror, you're not going to see your face ever. Just like we don't see our face throughout the day unless we walk by something that reflects it back to us, typically a mirror when we go to the bathroom or something. Other than that, we don't see our face while we're living our life. We go do our thing. And as we make our breakfast, as we take our shower, as we shave or whatever it is, as we do these things, we're the participant in what's going on. You want to be a millionaire, what you do is you take 5 to 15 minutes in the morning and night, and other times as frequently as you can, in a very calm, enjoyable manner, and you live the way you will live as if you already live that lifestyle. And you make it so real that over time, if you were to come out of that, we're talking about when you wake up, so you're certainly going to stay awake. At night, you're going to fall asleep. But when you come out of that in the morning, in 5 to 15 minutes will just kind of fly by. But when you come out of it, or you do it in the middle of the day and you come out of it and you come back into the world, so to speak, and the world feels fake to you and what you were just imagining feels real, that's when you know you're successfully imprinting on your subconscious mind what you want. And as you do that, you're going to feel better and better and better about it. But just saying the words over and over and over again, whatever it is, it's not going to do it for you. Does that help?
Yeah, it's going to be different. Like you said, sanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So this is different because I've been doing it the other way for so long. So yeah. I got to give it a shot.
Awesome. Other questions or comments?
Hello, Kevin?
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Terrific.
I just wanted to ask a question. I don't know. I mean, it has nothing to do with it. My daughter is not really talking to me too much anymore.
Okay.
And I want to try to the visualization that we're great friends and all this, that you moved on and all that. Do I just do a movie like you said, or do I just say, okay, my daughter, that you've forgiven everything, and just say things.
Sure. So first of all, you can't make somebody do something against their will. You're not supposed to try and do that. However, what you can, instead of saying in your mind, she does this, she does this, she does this, what I would do if I were you is go create. You already know, because it's your daughter, there have been times probably where she did communicate with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there probably have been some happy times, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, terrific. Go live that again as if it's happening right now in your imagination and in your visualization.
Okay.
Just imagine that happening again. Not like, don't look at it, but you can't do it as if that's something that happened in the past. You have to bring that forward. So use your imagination to, hey, things have been going really well. You don't have to decide at all how she thinks or feels or anything. You just go have enjoyable conversation and interaction with her in your imagination. And chances are pretty good that you will. I've got other material to share with you guys. I'm just not there yet, right? But as we keep going, I'll do some of that. But I can tell you other people with similar outcomes, with people that have been difficult to deal with in their life, the views that those people have towards them will shift. Typically, they'll become more agreeable. They'll be more on your side, so to speak. But there's something, it's part of her feeling, but there's also something in your subconscious that also is expecting her to be hard to deal with right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what your life has been like and what you've done or she's done, or what the programming is, but I would just know it with any human being. If we have opposition with somebody and it constantly pops up for us, and we're not in vibration when we're in each other's space, then we stay away from each other. Now, if you want to have, again, that relationship, the best thing you could do is just picture that and let it go and let God help that happen. And then follow any intuition you receive, but don't try and force it. Don't force phone calls. Don't force emails. Don't force get-togethers for holidays. Don't force anything. She will probably actually reach out to you when this is taken hold, because you're putting out positive, you're expecting that, but you're not trying to make her do anything. Your feelings towards her are going to be more happy and joyful, which will actually create a situation where she very likely, it's not 100%, but she very likely will choose to reciprocate, at least to some extent. And it might surprise you how good it becomes. But
so don't even say Happy New Year's or anything like that. Don't send a text.
Well, you can, but if that annoys her, no.
It may. I don't really know. I have no idea.
Yeah. I don't know either. You could ask. The other thing too is you could just take a straight up more approach, go to God and say, hey, I really miss her. I'd really like to have a great relationship. I want to be different. I want to be better. Take it all upon you. Don't ask her to change a thing. You're the one who's going to change, not her. Now, she may change, but you can't say, I hope she says, she does this and she changes this and she does this. That's not going to work. Any change that happens will be you, and she will change as a result of those changes in you.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And also, I wanted to ask one more question, if I can.
Yeah,
I know that it's kind of crazy, but I do want to do a business, and you say don't. Anyway, I was kind of thinking, is this bad thing to say, to kind of ask for the universe how I should proceed with it, or else ask them, kind of visualizing all these people coming to me because they want my products because it
No,
will
yeah,
help.
there's nothing wrong with, no, there's nothing wrong with that. You can visualize your business prospering. You can visualize people coming on board. What you can't do is pick specific individuals to do it.
Okay.
I mean, you could ask, but you can't. Again, coercion is not how we go about doing things. So you can see yourself, having a lot of customers, or see yourself having a team and leading that team.
Okay. Okay. That's what I wanted to find out. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other comments or questions today? You guys gotta take it easy on me, huh?
Hey, Kevin, I have a question.
Hi, Everett.
Hey, how you doing? When you start to, be positive, think positive, keeping it into your mind, have you had a problem with sometimes conflicting with people? Because sometimes you get your mindset getting more positive, and then the more you grow, it's like you sometimes you try to be more direct with people, and you find yourself becoming unharmonious sometimes because it's like you reach a higher level. How do you particularly deal with that when you start to get your mind clear and you kind of just don't blame people?
I take the approach of just trying to do the best I can to apply what I've learned and be an example. What I don't try and do is tell everybody you've got to go, especially, you guys, I'm sharing what you ought to do. Well, but that's different. That's in a capacity as somebody who's a trainer and a coach. Okay. So if I didn't share anything with you, that'd be silly. Right. But the people around me, if they're not ready, then the best thing that I can do is just go succeed. And the best thing I can do is apply the laws and do it in a creative way instead of competitive way, and then see that the success is there and I'm happy. Now that success might bother them. My happiness might bother them. But if I do this well enough, maybe I'll impact, maybe not this person, but I'll impact somebody else. And that somebody else could then turn around and be an impact for them. In other words, is we spread what we know and we share what we learn with other people. It might not be that person directly that comes to us, but they might come to somebody that we've helped. Or you're just, the way to change what's going on in the world is to change the way that people think. But the only person that can change how somebody thinks is that person themselves. They have to be open to it and ready for it. So I'm okay. I also believe too that after we pass on from this world, in the form that we are currently living here on planet Earth, and then we go on to our next stage I think it's the next stage of development and progression. I think we're still going to have the chance to interact with other people that we've already known. So I take a longer term approach to it also, that, hey, if this person doesn't dig me today, I can't promise they'll dig me tomorrow, right? But I take the approach that as we become more aware of how things really work and how the laws function, and we decide to be creative instead of competitive, that maybe, in this life, it would be awesome if I have that friendship with this person, but maybe what's going to happen is we're going to hook up again afterwards, and we're going to laugh about it because we're going to have our memory of what went on, and we'll be like, yeah, you know what? Kind of wish we would have hung out more, did more things together. But I'm actually glad that you stayed away from me, because that would have stopped you from becoming what you could become. And you wouldn't have had as big of an impact on the world. It just took me a little longer to catch up with you. But hey, it's all good because now we're together again as friends. But yeah, we tend not to be people that we're not in harmonious vibration with tend to not be in our lives during that time. And if they're putting out a lot of negative, we don't want to be there because it's only going to stop our own progression. So it feels kind of sad in a way, for sure, because we have feelings, right? These were our friends, our buddies, or whatever. But if you are talking about, maybe you made the leap from poverty to wealth, and they're still sitting in the mindset of poverty. And instead of actually asking you for advice and help, instead they're judging you. And they feel like what you should do is just write them a big fat check and help them be wealthy too. That's not going to do a lot of good.
Yeah, I would say you hit on the nail with that. And I totally understand where you're coming from with that. It's like, I think that sometimes they don't be ready, and even you almost have to like block them out. And I think my biggest problem now, I worry about what people think of me. And like I said, even the job I work at,
yeah,
do union work, sometimes I try to give people directions. Hey, you got to take care of this. And then people get mad because sometimes they want to sit places and not do nothing. They're not ready for the higher level. And I have to learn to just accept that and not take it personal.
Sure.
When you expect high standards for people, or you want them to say, hey, we're trying to make this job work. They want to go on another level. So I think that's just something, like you said, I should probably have to meditate on from learning what we've been learning over these. I think I've been with y'all for about 2-3 weeks. I didn't get the first book. I don't know what that first book y'all went over was.
The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles.
Yes. Yep. I started on the next book with y'all. So what I will do is I will listen to that advice, and I will keep positive thoughts in my mind. I'm sticking here with y'all, and I really have enjoyed this course with y'all, and it was real great. So
awesome. Well,
thank you. It's my first time talking, and I had to get over myself and not saying nothing, because it's like, okay, we all have questions, but sometimes I sit there being shy.
I appreciate it.
I'm notorious to that. So I'm patting myself on the back for speaking up. So
definitely give yourself double pat on the back, man. 2-hand pat.
Thanks, Kevin.
You're welcome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll definitely piggyback on that, Kevin. I'm definitely not you, but I've seen myself become frustrated with primarily family members, and to a lesser extent friends, who I've tried to counsel or coach, give them all the enthusiasm and some gems that I have, and they seem unwilling or non-receptive to it. But then when a crisis happens, they're quick to ask me to write a check. And that's when I just go ballistic, because I said, hey, look, had you listened to me, the things that I suggest, let's get up early, let's review our goals, let's set some whatever, you might not have been in this kind of conflict. And the reason I can write a check if I chose to is because I do those things. But you're right, you can't change people. So I think I'm going to adapt your theory. I can't bring everyone with me. I have to distance myself from those people that don't have the same vibration, because especially family members, it's horrible. I am the deep pocket for everyone's crisis, and they create it themselves, and we'll make a change.
Yeah. Yep. And for a little while, the next time when you say no, there'll probably be some resentment for a while, and that's just be ready for it and be okay with it. One of the things I think about too, so every one of you, I've brought up the fact, and again, I'm just sharing, this isn't judgment, guys, okay? But this goes along since we had the questions we have. So I'm going to share it with you, what goes on through my mind. I know 100%, I don't care what your current income is. I know 100% that I can help you multiply it by 3 to 10 times at least over the next 12 to 24 months. Listen to that. I don't care what your income is currently. I can help you multiply it by 3 to 10 times over the next 12 to 24 months by working with you for 6 months as a coach, even in a group coaching setting. And you're not all my clients, right? So that offer is out there, but not all of you guys have accepted that offer. But I'm okay with that. And I'm okay coming here every day and spending time with you and sharing what I can share in 45 minutes to an hour, maybe hour and 15 minutes. But what I just told you, almost every single one of you would like to multiply your income by at least 3 to 10 times, no matter what your income is. And yet, no response. Or you're thinking, what's it gonna cost me versus what am I gonna receive? So I have to live with that as a coach all the time. and still love everybody on the planet and try and help as many people as I can. Because if I get into the attitude that if, oh, everybody doesn't sign up, why am I doing this? That's not why I'm doing it. I like making money, yes. But what I really like is watching you guys succeed, because I know I can only impact so many people directly. But if I impact any one of you to success, you can then go impact a whole another group of people that I would never have access to. So by helping you do that, I'm able to reach more people in the world that way. So I just want to bring that up as a thought, not as a judgment. I want you to think about it for a little bit, because you're going to have people in your life that you're trying to help that you know 100% in your heart that you can make a difference for them, and they won't take advantage of it. And how does that feel? You got to learn, though, that, you know what, if you go to a much higher level, what does God think about us? Right? Thank goodness, you know, there's a perfection there, and there's a love there that's beyond anything we even understand, you know. But hey, he gets frustrated too, probably differently. He has a different vision. He just is probably occasionally sad that we're not accepting what he's willing to do, which is essentially utilize the laws of the universe to bring us whatever it is we really want, as long as we learn to obey those laws. So just a little commentary to think about, you know, again, not a judgment. I already know how this works. I've been, you know, helping people for a long time. So, and I want to help more and more people as time goes on. That's my legacy. My legacy is no longer, you know, building up businesses and corporations and things like I used to. It's now to share this information. And yes, of course, I get paid for it. You know why? One, I'm good at it, very good at it. But two, if you don't pay for it, you won't do it. I don't care what you promise me. I've watched over and over, maybe 1 out of 100 of you would. But I'd rather work with 100 people and have 100 successful people than work with 100 and have one because I didn't charge you for coaching. Because then I impacted 100 people in a positive way instead of just one. The rest of you actually wouldn't even care about it. Any additional comments or questions before we go? All right. I've had fun, and I appreciate, because yeah, you've been here for a while. I don't know if Emmett's still with us or not. He might have left, but I'm glad that he took the time to come out and say something. And for those of you who have not been sharing, please do the same. Yeah, Everett, thank you for doing that.
Anytime, I feel better.
And thanks to all of you that share anything that you share. It's totally appreciated. It lets me know that I'm actually making an impact. So thank you.
Hello, Kevin and
Hi.
everybody. I just want to say a quick comment to your offer there, Kevin. I mean, you just made a good point about the offer with, you know, wanting to help, and sometimes we complain about other people not taking our offer for help, but we may not be taking your offer. At any rate, I was curious as to how many people are interested in, I mean, your offer sounds good, and I would like to consider it, at least think about it. And I'm just curious as to how many people will be interested in the platform, or maybe elsewhere that you have a group of people that might want to get coaching as a group together, like together.
Yeah, the group coaching, just so you know, I'm just put it right out there. It's $5,000 for 6 months. Mm-hmm. If you want to do a payment plan, then it's $3,500 to get started. It's going to cost you $6,000 instead of $5,000. It's $3,500 to get started, and then it's $500 a month thereafter until it's paid up, which will end it right at the 6 months. Mm-hmm. Then one-on-one coaching, simple, $20,000 for 6 months. Mm-hmm. So that's what it is. But even I'm talking at even the group coaching level, that you will still have what it is that you need to be able to multiply your income 3 to 10 times. The one-on-one level, what that tends to do is speed things up a lot. Mm-hmm. Okay, but because I can give absolute direct guidance, When I do the group type coaching, I keep the numbers of people that are involved in it relatively small, because when we come together, I do want everybody to have the opportunity to share, what they need to share in order to be able to move forward.
So when you say small, what number are we talking about?
Somewhere between probably 6 to 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And do you have, so how does that work? If someone is interested, do you just get on the list, or how does that work?
Go ahead and email me, coachkevinsparks@gmail.com, and then we'll have a conversation and make sure it fits for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'll explain the details. And even with the group, by the way, I know she just literally just got started. So there's probably not a whole lot to say because she literally started last week. But Stephanie, if you want to comment so far about the surprise that I gave you and what you're doing, how's that been going for you in just 1 week?
Fantastic. And thank you for letting me share. I was really nervous to the group. I joined up for the group thing, and I'll make everybody laugh because I made Kevin laugh. I work with the DoD, and one of their mantras is trust but verify, right? So I had my discussion with Kevin, and then I hang up, and I'm sitting there and I'm about to pull out my credit card and put down this $5,000 purchase. And I'm like, wait a second, I have no idea who this man is. He could be anybody. Maybe he's not really Kevin Sparks. So I text Kevin and I said, is there somebody I could talk to, another client that you have or something like that? And he did. He set me up with another gentleman in Colorado who was absolutely fantastic, very genuine. And we ended up talking for like an hour and a half, I think, quite a while anyway. And he was sharing some of his experience in the past and why it was different. He's been going down this path of trying to create wealth on his own for quite some time. And he said the kicker for him that was kind of really getting him motivated and turning that corner, so to speak, is the fact that he did have a coach. And so a lot of the stuff that Kevin was already talking about on our group calls, this meetup, were already resonating with me because I'd heard these things in the past. And I just felt like that one key statement that gentleman made for me was the turning point. And then, so I followed up with Kevin, ended up signing up for the course. And in turn, he has sent some homework my way, which I'm working through right now and has been absolutely fantastic. Really, really motivated me, and I'm really excited about it. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
And yes, you're right. We all wonder who Kevin really is.
That's okay. That's fine.
Rightfully so. Nowadays, with all the, all the people out there doing all kinds of scams, who knows, sure. Right? So,
right. Well, and here's the interesting thing, and this is totally cool, because this is related to the law of attraction. I have that discussion with everybody, even with somebody that says, I got the money, I want to sign up. I still want to talk to them before we do anything. Because I only want to work with people that actually feel that I'm the right person to help them. Mm-hmm. Not that are logically trying to figure out I'm the right person. Because I find when there's that feeling of, this is the person for now, not maybe for the rest of my life, right? But for the step I'm trying to make right now, this is the person that's probably going to be the most helpful. There's a resonance with that. There's a vibration, right? We keep talking about that. So if you're in vibration with what I'm saying and what we're doing, and you feel that I'm right, every time I have a client like that, it always works for me and the client because of that vibration. But if I were trying to, I don't put on like sales webinars and all this other stuff trying to say, hey, da 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 da. I just more often people reach out to me and say, hey, you're a coach, what does that entail? And then we just talk about it. But it's because they feel that they want help and they feel that I can do it. If somebody's like, well, I'm trying to decide between you and 10 other people to help me, please don't choose me. Okay, because if you don't feel that I'm the person, then don't just try and sign up with me because you got money to do it. Sign up because you feel that if we work together, you're going to get what you want. And you'll feel that intuitively. Yeah.
Sorry. I told you, and for the group, I had actually joined a different meetup group, thinking about having a quote unquote life coach, which was something that Kevin and I talked about, and something that Kevin feels is not quantifiable, so doesn't consider himself a quote unquote life coach, but more on the monetary end. I had actually talked to another individual that has the same concept and theory, and I spoke to her for about an hour and a half and chose not to do it. And it was less expensive than Kevin's. And yet after talking to Kevin, I just, like he was just saying, it felt right to me, and I was ready to take that next step. And I was fine with, I had to be fine with putting down $5,000. And if I get nothing in return, I'm okay with that because I've made that choice, which is something we kind of talked about today too, right?
Yeah, however, I won't be okay with that. I made Stephanie commit, okay, to doing what I asked her to do, and she made the commitment. That's part of it. As long as she does what she's supposed to do, the results are going to be just fine.
And I get that your program is more focused on money, but can you expand on why you think, quote, life coaching is different? I guess hopefully I'm saying it correctly.
My focus is money. So I have another person that I coach. After 6 months, their money thing was shooting up, and they did quite well, and they added 6 figures to their income already. And the next thing they wanted, they're like, I want a relationship. And I laughed. I mean, I had fun, and I knew this person now for 6 months, right? And they hired me as a one-on-one coach. And we'd already been working one-on-one for 6 months. He said, now that this has happened, what I'd really like to have happen is this. And I said, look, I'm not I'm not a relationship coach. I said, but if you want to hire me, you kind of know what I'm able to do in the sense of the laws that govern receiving what we want are universal. And so I'm 100% sure that if we work together for another 6 months, that you're going to get results with this. I just want you to understand that I don't have experience as a relationship coach because I would never consider myself to be one. I'm someone who can show you how to get what you want. And I also can see your blind spots while we're working together. And I understand when you're actually following through with what you should be versus giving excuses and everything else. And by the way, I don't mean like whiny, complainy, but just like, hey, you know what? Here, this isn't working out. Tell me a little more. I can always figure out why it's not working. And I can always say, hey, here's what it was that I already told you to do. Go do it and it'll work. And boom, okay, I'll go do it. They go do it and it works. So this person, I couldn't have predicted this, and I made no promise of anything like this, okay? And he also said, can we still keep talking about money? I'm like, well, of course. So he ended up getting married within that 6 months to somebody he didn't even know at the time that we started doing that. So, but a life coach, from a quantifiable thing, I'm like, well, and I'm sorry, this is just, I don't know it well enough. So some people might say, oh, that's kind of what you are or whatever. My visualization of a life coach is, well, so what do I do? Change your diaper? I mean, and I'm not trying to be like obnoxious. I'm just saying that, look, when it comes to money, I know that my clients, this is what tends to happen and what has been happening. So I'm cool with that idea. Also, I know that if people are stressed out about money, most of the other things in their life aren't working either. But if we can get money to work for them, then over that time of working towards increasing that, I can help them do a lot of other things. But quantifiable if he had not been married, would he have, again, we didn't set the goal for him to be married in 6 months. Okay. But it happened. But from a relationship standpoint, what was quantifiable? Well, I'm able to find people and date and go out, this gentleman's in his 40s, not that that matters his age, but he hasn't been married and other stuff. Right. Of course, his wallet got a little bigger, so maybe that made him a little more attractive. Just right. But anyhow, the point of it is that I'm not here to listen to you guys. So here's what coaching is not. It's not your time to throw up your life on me the way that it doesn't work. You can tell me essentially one time kind of thing, like, okay, I'm going to ask you what's life like and what have you gone through in this, so I get to know you. But Bob Proctor is my coach. If I go to him and I start whining and complaining about anything, he cuts me off. He cuts off everybody because he doesn't want that in. He's like, okay, you know what? Here's what you want, but you're not getting the result you want. And he can go back and say, look, from what we talked about last time, did you do this, or this? And there's always something that they're not doing, or maybe they're just unaware. It's a blind spot, like I said. So I pick up on the blind spot pretty quick and go, okay, Mr. Type A personality right here has not gone out and done anything fun in the last 3 weeks. No wonder he's stuck. And for that Type A personality, that person wants to fight me sometimes on having fun. And I'm like, look, every time I go have fun or go on vacation, my income increases. And you want to drive through this. Well, you're doing it wrong. So you're not allowed to do anything that has anything to do with work for the next, 72 hours. You need to go do fun things intentionally. And almost, it's just, but that's not necessarily what's going to be the thing that has them stuck 3 or 4 weeks or a month from now. As long as they stay on the path of remembering, sometimes I just got to remind people to do what it is that worked, because they do something, it works. They're like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I went out and I took this, I went out and I went hiking and did this and this and this. And I ended up with $10,000 more in income this past 2 weeks. Okay, great. And then they forget that having fun is part of the process. I'm going to insist that you guys have fun. If you don't want to have fun, don't let me be your coach. Because I'm going to insist that you have fun. Well, any other, I guess I wasn't intending for this, but any other questions, I guess, about coaching right now? Okay. Any other questions about anything else right now that you won't be able to sleep tonight if we don't answer that question? All righty, then we will call this a wrap. Thank you guys for hanging out a little bit longer. This is definitely a longer session together, but I didn't know that it was going to turn into this. But it probably is ideal. I mean, we are coming into the new year and everything. And I think most of you guys would like to have, different results than you've had in the past. So I look forward to hopefully being coaches for some of you guys. But for those of you who don't or don't choose to for now, totally fine. Because I really do enjoy what I'm doing every day. And so what I'm doing right now, I will continue to do it regardless of if you ever choose me to be your coach or not. Thank you guys so much, and have a wonderful, terrific, awesome day.
You too, Kevin. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Everyone else. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
See you all.